you keeping busy? That's how people greet one another these days, as if being busy is a goal or a virtue. You staying busy? You keeping busy? Well, that's how I used to think. I took pride in being the responsible one who rolled up her sleeves and did the work. And it paid off. I had a nice home just outside of Bethany, larger than most in the area. It was my home. I owned it. I worked hard, and I made sure that my sister Mary and I had more than just a roof over our heads, but a nice home where we could entertain. Now, unlike my sister Mary, who lacked my ambition, I was a respected woman in a man's world because I got up early, managed my business, took care of my household, and I did what needed to be done. My brother Lazarus would often brag about me to the men in the city, saying his sister Martha could outwork and outthink any of them. Lazarus understood me, and he was proud. One day, we heard news that Jesus was coming to town, a man who had become known as a miracle worker and teacher. Most were too intimidated to invite him over, but I sent a message inviting him to dinner. When he accepted, however, I panicked. I realized just how much work would have to be done in order to have the perfect dinner with Jesus. I mean, how would you think if the Son of God was on his way over for dinner? You'd freak out too. I kicked it into high gear, beast mode. I rolled up my sleeves and I got to work. I scrubbed my house from top to bottom. I washed my nicest gown in the river. I baked bread, I cleared the clutter, but there was still so much more to do. Where is my sister Mary? I wondered. There she's off catching butterflies again while I'm stuck doing all the work. When I heard a knock at the door, I just about lost it. Things were nowhere near ready, and they were here. The food wasn't done, the dishes weren't clean. I heard my brother Lazarus open the door and greet Jesus and his disciples with a loud voice. From the sounds of it, there must have been 10 or 15 people coming in. Oh. Mary and Lazarus led them to the sitting area where for the next hour they talked and laughed and told stories while I worked myself to the bone in the kitchen. Oh, I grew more and more bitter. Mary was in there getting to sit and listen to his spellbinding stories while I did all the work. I mean, Mary was always lazy, but this was too much. I felt like all she cared about was herself and taking advantage of me. If our mother were here, she'd have slapped her upside the head. I couldn't stand it. I stomped into the living room, and there she was, sitting on the floor like one of the guests, listening to Jesus. Lord! I screamed in a voice loud enough to startle everyone. Don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work? Tell her to help me. Well, everyone stared at me with wide eyes and then turned to look to see Jesus' reaction. He was calm, and he just smiled like he was my father or something. Martha, 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 he said, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed, only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her. At first, I wanted to argue, but his words stopped me in my tracks. I looked back at the kitchen and back at him. It hit me. He hadn't come here for my clean home. He hadn't come here for my food. He came here for me, to be with us. And he was right. I was missing it. I realized that my work ethic was my problem, keeping me from the most important things in life, relationships. I pretended that I didn't have time for them, that I was too busy. I was too busy to spend time with God, even when he sat in my own living room. My busyness was a smokescreen for a fear of intimacy with God and with others. So, against my nature, I stumbled into the living room and I sat next to Mary and Lazarus and the rest of Jesus' disciples. And for the next few hours, we heard things that we will never forget. He talked about the kingdom of God in a profound manner. He told us stories and parables that touched us deeply and challenged our thinking. I completely forgot about the food in the kitchen. I didn't want to leave his side. I hung on to his every word. We must have eaten at some point, but honestly, I don't remember. I just remember listening to Jesus. That night, Mary, Lazarus, and I formed a deep friendship with Jesus. To us, he wasn't just a teacher, he was a dear friend. And in the coming days, he would stop by just to stay, to catch up, to share stories, and to just sit, because that's what friends do. When Lazarus got sick, Jesus was miles away across the Jordan River. We tried sending a message, but in those days, messages could take days or even weeks. As Lazarus neared death, we knew we didn't have much time. And then we received word that Jesus had gotten our message, but he had decided to stay where he was for 2 more days. I didn't understand. There were many people in Judea who wanted to kill Jesus, and so we wondered if maybe he was afraid to come back, even to help a dying friend. For whatever reason, Jesus delayed coming, and Lazarus died. We buried Lazarus in a tomb near my home and sealed the tomb with a large round stone, which was customary. I hated how final that large stone felt. I would have preferred a door so that I could go and visit my brother anytime like I had always done. But instead of a door, I had a stone. Death was so final. 4 days after Lazarus died, we heard that Jesus was near Bethany. I ran out to meet him, and when I found him, I cried, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know even now, God will give you whatever you ask. He said, your brother will rise again. For I am the resurrection and the life. And the one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Yes, Lord, I cried. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God who has come into the world. I went to get Mary, and she came weeping. Jesus asked where we had buried Lazarus, where his tomb was, and then Jesus himself began to weep. I'd never seen him cry before. And to see such a powerful man sobbing was so moving. When we got to the tomb, Jesus shocked us all. He said, "Roll the stone away." "But Lord," I protested, "by now there is a bad odor, for it has been 4 days. He said, "Did I not tell you, if you believe, you will see the kingdom of God?" So they rolled away the stone. And Jesus looked up to the sky and said, "Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but I say this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." After he said this, Jesus called out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" I still struggle to believe what my eyes saw next. My brother, my dead brother, came out of the tomb, his hands and face and feet still wrapped in burial cloth. "Take off the grave clothes and let him go," Jesus said. Sometime later, we invited Jesus for dinner to thank him what he had done for Lazarus, for us. But what do you give someone who brings your brother back from the dead? We held a dinner in his honor, and I served. But none of us knew that Jesus would be dead in less than a week. As we sat for dinner, Mary took about a pint of expensive perfume and poured it on Jesus' feet and began to wipe his feet with her hair as a way of saying thank you. The fragrance of the perfume filled the house. Judas, who later betrayed Jesus, complained that we were wasting what could be sold and given to the poor. But Jesus interrupted him. He said, "It was intended that she should save this perfume for my burial. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me." My burial? We wondered. There were many who wanted Jesus dead. Some of the leaders even talked of killing Lazarus because many had come to believe in Jesus because of him. But we never believed it could happen. A week later, Jesus was dead, sealed in his own large tomb. Though Jesus had raised Lazarus from the dead, none of us believed that he could do that for himself. Until Sunday came. Word of Jesus' resurrection spread quickly. People were buzzing all over town. And the rumor turned out to be true. Jesus was alive. Oh, I had the honor of knowing Jesus, not just as the Lord, but as a dear friend who taught me about the most important thing in life, loving God and loving others. If you're like me, you've used busyness as an excuse to not sit at Jesus' feet and spend time with loved ones. But I'm here to tell you, it's not worth it. You're missing out. Don't let stuff become more important than your relationship with God and with others. Now, our home would ever after become known as a place to experience Jesus through the stories we told, the meals we shared, and the prayers that we offered. Our home became one of the first churches in the world, a place to be set free of the burden of busyness by the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm proud to say that today there are churches all over the world that do this every single day. So the next time someone asks you if you're keeping busy, I hope you can say no. because you're not too busy for God and you're not too busy for others. Dear friends, don't be too busy.
The more I seek you, close to you. And when you sit at his feet, and I was missing it all. And my miss was getting too long. But his love is all I want now. Oh, if only I could rewind, turn back time. Oh, if only I could rewind and be with him somehow.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the